I'll do Discord.
Yeah. Right, where are we at?
Oh, we live. Hey, dude, how's it going?
Live. All good, all good. I think it's been a bit of a stressful week, but
yeah. How was that? How's that Monday? How did that Monday make you feel? Or the weekend, rather? How was that weekend of absolute dumpage? I actually thought it was retail that was dumping. I mean, institutions that were dumping, and then it comes out with ample, reliable evidence that it was actually retail dumping all their Bitcoin, and institutions were the ones that were actually buying it all up.
yeah, I don't know. Like I put in my channel on Discord. God knows, it's a good job that it's I'm one of the founding members of Blockmates, because no one should allow me to have a channel where I spew my brain farts all over. but I put in on it on I think Friday. Just stuff just didn't seem right, and there was weird price action, and it was like really atypical. And I was just like, I don't know, I don't like this, and I'm gonna have a good weekend planned, and I'm not having this fucking looming over my head. So I just sold the majority of shit. But not like sold perfectly. The rest of the week has been shit, like executed really badly on a lot of stuff. Low time frame stuff, always a lot of fake outs, a lot of like failed breakdowns. It's just really, really weird at the minute. But I think a lot of people are feeling it. So, you know, we've got to be cognizant and conscious of that. But there's been some stuff that's really, really stood out, and there's been some stuff that, like, I mean, titled the show "Searching for the ETH bull case." Like, what is it actually doing? What's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, I did ask that question on Twitter. I said, "So, can someone please give me a bull case for ETH?" And the answers are actually really good. Like, if you go through that,
let me get it. Let me see if I can get it.
Yeah, bring it up. I mean, there's actually some super cool ones. I mean, like from the, kind of like Larry Fink and his interest in Ethereum, and kind of like does Larry go and build his own blockchain, or does he use like an L2, or does he like what does he do? Like what is the general kind of like approach that this whole industry is going to take around Ethereum? And yeah, I mean, it's had great. It's like the perfect engagement post, and it obviously delivered. It's obviously had the rounds, and which has been pretty cool. And I think overall there've been some super cool answers. It hasn't been a shitpost fest for the most.
3 months ago, this could have been perceived as like bait. And now you can kind of see from the response that everyone's kind of like probably asking themselves the same question, and now it's being considered as like, well, let's like really look at it from a pragmatic perspective, and you can see in the answers, it's not like 3 months ago it'd have been.
I would have been insulted. I would have been,
yeah. You'd have been took the clean. There's a lot of like aggressive replies, but everyone's just like quite a subdued answer. Like, it's quite impressive for Twitter to have like quite a like non.
And this is probably one of the best ones. Like the bullish case is that everyone's bearish. It's kind of like.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was laughing hard at that.
Yeah, that's another
Zcash beta.
The thing is, there's history with Luke and Zcash. He's actually done really well with that over the years. So.
There might not be a bull case in the short term. Long term, everything is sufficiently decentralized and increasing value as long as the chain is contributed to. Short term, well, if it goes all shares, then that will be shut down. And long term, I agree with 90% of that. I don't believe like that will be shut down, but like I do.
I don't think it'll be shut down either. But it's cool to get an opinion, and that's like, okay, this is what I think.
I do agree with that. Like long term. Like long term, because of the huge focus on decentralization, and ETH should do well, but then are we now going to really look at this from like a pure technology perspective? And if so, those who ship fast, break shit, pivot, be really aggressive, are the ones that come out in front. Solana's not afraid to, like, you don't even see like the last downtime for Solana, that came out of it and the price went up. Like, the very fact that it can go down and people know eventually it will come back online, because it's happened that many times in a roundabout way, it's just like, all right, that can happen. Like, it's okay if that happens. We know what happens after that. If that happened to ETH for whatever reason, shit would seriously hit the fan. Shit would seriously hit the fan. And the fact that Solana has been down and up a couple of times in a roundabout way is a kind of positive.
He's such a Solana bull.
No, but it is though, right? Isn't it? Like, if Ethereum's like been grave dancing that many times on Solana for it, just because it's had no effective downtime,
Yeah.
and that's like one of its core ethos drivers and one of its high USPs. Like, Solana's just like, it doesn't really, it doesn't matter, obviously, but we've seen how the after effects of it play out, and it hasn't really been cataclysmic. So, but I don't know. I thought this was great. A lot of like cool answers.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
640
Yeah.
million of you. Yeah, what the fuck is that guy up to now? How is
Well,
he not in jail,
people,
by the way?
I don't know how he's man. Indeed, the move that he pulled with people sacrificing all that. Did he collected what, like $1 billion? And it's kind of like probably the
It was a
easiest
donation,
money
wasn't it?
anyone's. It was a sacrifice. It was a donation. It was set up like it was a donation, and people willingly gave him their money with multiple chains and multiple currencies. It was the most epic scam in crypto that no one ever speaks about. Like, it's just phenomenal.
Wasn't he doing like door-to-door, like pamphlet and leaflet marketing and
Well, he did the whole spam marketing. That was where he was originally charged, and he managed to kind of like dodge that. But it was it was a major thing at the time, but it was quite minor, like in the greater scheme of things. And he's obviously under investigation of the SEC at the moment. I mean, I find the dude fascinating. Like, what I find fascinating is the fact that it is a blatant, like, he is blatantly like just leading people on, and people just blatantly just follow. I mean, the clue was, give me, like, I'm going to create the ultimate currency in Hex, but donate all your currency to me in whatever form you want. And he set it all up on multiple chains, and people just smashed money to him, like literally close to $1 billion. I think it was like $920 million.
fucking hell. It's like
And they just did it, and like no one ever talks
real
about
internet cult behavior, like Jim Jonestown kind of fucking shit,
proper, dude. And like, people, when he used to stream, he doesn't stream anymore, but when he used to stream, he'd have like 100,000 viewers, like stupid numbers.
I feel bad for those people, but like, fuck me. It's a bit like, it's like financial Darwinism.
So V-shape recoveries. I mean, obviously the best V-shape recovery there's two of them actually. Like, do you want me to tell you which one the best one is? You're not going to believe this if I tell you, and that's Sui.
Really?
Yeah, go check it out. So compare the Sui chart to the Solana chart. I'm just looking at it on my screen here. The Sui one looks cleaner than the Solana one, and there's nothing that's been as freaking strong as what we've seen with Solana. But Sui is not far behind.
Well, I did notice on that bounce, those assets like Sui, Phantom. Yeah, that doesn't look great. Sui, Phantom, say, like, everyone who's promising to be like next gen all L1 shit, but like they had like a pretty strong bounce. But I mean,
just look at the 4 hour for that V shape. I mean, it's so impressive from that perspective.
Yeah, let's clean that up a little bit.
So just coming back to the ETH discussion, it's kind of like looking at, like, is Solana going to flip ETH and all that kind of jazz, which I don't really want to get into that because I don't think it's really what this discussion's about. It's more about kind of like this hate that Solana's getting primarily from, the ETH centric community, and even people that aren't necessarily ETH maxis are kind of saying, well, Solana's doing well because there's this degeneracy that's going on and it's a casino. And I mean, obviously that's a big part of it. But where do you think Solana stands kind of post, this whole kind of mania that does exist within memes? Is it kind of like going to end up being a complete graveyard, or do you think it has momentum in other areas, like primarily and solely from a Solana DeFi perspective?
Yeah, I mean, mentioned it last week. This Solana DeFi undercurrent that's happening currently is huge, and it's obviously attracted a shit ton of deep-in and a shit ton of AI infrastructure products. And like, you got to think, like, Helium had their own L1, and then realized how much of a pain in the ass that was, and then migrated to Solana, and then like Render have jumped over. They managed to seal the deal with IO, and it feels like if you were going to launch now, it would be over there, particularly if you're running high throughput or you need like a high performance chain. You're probably going to see a lot of big BD deals done with the likes of Aptos, Sui. I'm hearing of some hilarious and like really interesting products getting built on Movement Labs as well. But I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but what it is yet. But we'll be 100% covering it and probably getting banned from YouTube for covering it as well. So yeah, I think. But what you're seeing, like, let me just see if I can see if it reflects that in the chart. So Drift, obviously, really good perp stacks. Yes, lacks liquidity. They can fix that. Again, very strong. What's that up? 50% off the bottom. Strong. Camino, again, strong. Nearly 2x off the bottom. I think Chris Beninsky was retweeting Zuma about it earlier as well. So like, people are looking, and it's what we said last week. It's the X of Y. Like, it's the Solana, the Aave of Solana. This is just last cycle playing out again. And then the easiest trade is, oh, look how low the market cap is. And then we'd play the game of comparisons, and then it's like, well, it's probably not going to close in on it. But if it can get to, I don't know, fucking 20% of it, then that's a good trade.
I think the elephant in the room for me is that Maker obviously have, I think arguably Maker is one of the most successful protocols on mainnet, and it's like, well, we're interested in what Solana has to offer, and we actually want to build something on Solana. And I think if that isn't like a little bit of a, like a wake up call to those people who are Solana naysayers, then I'm not entirely sure what other evidence you need. It's kind of like you got one of the most successful players wanting to play on Solana. So what do you say about that, guys?
I think what's even more interesting, I don't necessarily think they'll build on the Solana network per se. I think they'll probably do something. Maybe it'll be like a sovereign chain, so like its own standalone chain, but it runs the SVM, so it'd be like a Solana-like experience, and it handles transactions and execution like that. And I think a product that big probably could stand on its own 2 feet and do that. And you've got to think with the whole kind of sub-DAO ecosystem that's going to emerge from what they're building. So like, basically like public funding of different ideas across different kind of verticals, whether that be, I don't know, social, or I don't know. It's gonna look like its own ecosystem in and of itself. So it's gonna need, you at that point, you want to own your own stack. You don't want to be like paying rent to like another L1 or, like, God forbid, like an L2. But I do think they'll probably use like an SVM execution kind of environment, because that seems to be the way, or at least a parallel execution environment, which seems to be the way that everything's moving. But yeah, and like look at G2 off the bottom as well. So it all looks good off the bottom. So it's
Well,
not just
everything
like
looks good off the
dying
bottom.
out. Yeah, everything looks good, but like really strong.
Yeah,
which is what
absolutely.
you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, ETH has been very much the opposite the cycle, and I mean, I think the fundamentals, as per a lot of the really cool replies that we saw on that Twitter post, is that even though there is kind of like there is a lot of I think despondency and like a little bit of depression setting in, where myself included, like invested a lot of time and effort in accumulating Ethereum and really believing, and I still believe it. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said, and I agree with a lot of the commentary around ETH and the value that it does, and the value that it brings. And the thing is that, yeah, I mean, there were a couple of conversations that happened in Telegram with some some big brands that we know, like just saying, well, what options do we have? It's kind of like, well, you've got Solana and then you've got ETH, and what does that look like? And right now, Ethereum's the one that's got the most TVL. It's basically proven that it can take any kind of beating. It's survived a lot, and right now it is the boss in the room, and I don't think that's necessarily going to change. But I do believe that there is an air of complacency that surrounds the Ethereum Foundation developers that might land up having a god complex. I've seen it in gaming all the time. They get it. Like there's like this god complex that comes in, and it's like, well, we have the keys to the kingdom for what it's worth, and we'll fucking call the shots. And like a comment was made by one of the ETH devs, whether it's a true quote or not, whereas it comes across like, well, it's all a casino and it's not going to work out. Obviously pointing towards Solana, but it's like, oh, it's fine. It's fine if it's happening on mainnet, but if it's happening everywhere else, it's going to collapse, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So
everyone
I think
wants the casino on their chain. Like let's be clear, everyone wants.
T-Dub saying in chat that ETH is the blockbuster video. It might be. I mean, the thing is that that's the sentiment, that's the hate right now, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think what needs to happen is that there needs to be a wake-up call. I don't know what that looks like, and the fat and lazy devs need to actually get nimble and fit again, and they need to get fucking running, bro. Goggins needs to visit them.
Yeah. Like you can read into the sentiment analysis in any which way you like, but it's the first time that it's dropped into the negative for ETH across the board. So this is scraping all social engagement across Twitter, Farcaster, Discord, Telegram, podcast spaces, etc., etc. So it might be amped up, and I just think back to like probably 3 to 4 months ago when we were like, well, ETH always has the tendency to absolutely rip when everyone counts it out, but that was nothing compared to what the sentiment across the board is like now. Like this feels like absolutely rock bottom.
Absolutely.
Did you see this? Everyone's saying ETH's done for because Vitalik's got a girlfriend. And then this was Monday following during the dump, like everyone's fucking losing their mind. There's probably still some bodies to be absolutely carried out, and like in the midst of a fucking bloodbath. I think people will be surprised how quickly cross L2 interoperability problems stop being problems, and we get smooth user experience across the entire Ethereum verse, including L1s, rollups, Validiums, even sidechains. I'm seeing a lot of energy and will to make this happen. I kind of like it, but like
like it's not the most appropriate time, bro.
Trading Axe, Blood ETH is at 2K and you're waffling about smoothies or something. Pump this shit with me or quit the app.
And then he posts a Solana meme as his sign off. Really?
Fuck me, I was howling at that. About smoothies or something.
Oh my goodness. Trading axe, you fucking lunatic.
But like there are like he's completely correct in what he's saying. There's like the Infinex team are building towards kind of chain and account abstraction, which if anyone hasn't seen is go and just kind of go to Infinex and then you sign in with passkey is going to be the next kind of way forward for self-custody. Yeah, so go and try Infinex. It's going to take some unlearning to see where the industry's headed with regards to kind of chain abstraction. That kind of gives you the best overview. Or go and read about socket protocols, Magic Spend plus plus. That's really interesting. I think Omni are building towards that. I keep trying to get in touch with their founder and need to speak to them to clarify. And then there's a lot of other people building, but until then, the monolithic setup like Solana is trumping it, but I don't know. It's going to take a shit ton of L2s and a shit ton of app chains and a shit ton of development and user activity on each specific L2 or app chain to actually get back to some sort of revenue and value accrual to what we were seeing pre like Dencoin on ETH. So I don't know how long that takes to play out, but while it is taking its time to play out, I think there's a lot of advancements in tech with people who are willing to break shit and move quick and get heavily funded in the meantime. So I don't know what wins, but if we look at past experience, usually the stuff that gets extremely funded was smart people and they're not scared to break shit. So but I still love Ethereum, and I wanted to do
Yeah,
that.
I do too. I mean, I had an opportunity to get some time with Jordi Alexander, and it's kind of like his whole thing is like game theory and you know like thinking about it in a very different way is that there are games that need to and will be played in this environment, and then once the game gets figured out, then obviously the game stops. I mean, obviously your ohm and your ohm forks and all of that kind of stuff had their moments, and then the question that comes in is like, well, the game right now is, well, the question is what games are being played at the moment. And the obvious game that's being played are meme coins. You know, what does that look like? Well, you can launch a token, control all the supply. That seems to be quite a popular one at the moment because the chart definitely does go up. I mean, yeah, let's get into it. I mean, I don't necessarily like have any interest in this per se, but I mean, you look at something like Nero, which I think might be at top now. You know, even with controlled supply and massive amounts of KLs and the rest of it, you know, it's definitely shown that there is a game that can be played, and it's on mainnet, by the way. You know, like, but yeah, there's a lot of sell pressure by the looks of it at the moment, and I don't really know whether it goes beyond this because maybe, you know, everyone's that was in earlier has made their 10, 20, 30, 40x or whatever the case is. But that chart does not look great to me.
No.
But apparently there's control supply. The other one with control supply is Brett. You know, I think Brett, despite controlled supply, it still landed up taking a proper beating over the weekend.
888 million. Fuck my life. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. So, I mean, we know for a fact that 80 to 90% of the supply is controlled by the guys who launched this thing. But still, even though that's the case,
I think that's why Coinbase distanced themselves from it. Like
Miggles or this from this.
Because they kind of distanced themselves from it a little bit, didn't they, after?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They weren't. I haven't really been paying attention to what's happening on Base. I don't know if the activity is still as large. I think they need to like really have a look at.
Grant, there's 8.6 million. Dude, there's $8.6 million of freaking volume that's gone through this thing. Is that wash trading? Probably a lot of it is, but then I think there's also a lot that's guys buying and selling, like people like you and me. You know, like whereas Miggles, I don't think is doing so great at the moment. I think it's actually taking a one-way ticket.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, does it?
Like looked really promising. Obviously, you can see the beginnings of it, and then just kind of like, we had Coinbase with their merch, and the merch store had Miggle stuff, and it's just weird how it's done that. I mean, obviously, some people decided that, let's sell all our bags, which that's clearly what's happened. Yeah, anyway, so I think it's all about the game, what game's being played. And the question for me is, okay, so the game will be up on memes at some point in time. I think they'll always be there. We've always said that. But what game is next? Do we then go back to the fundamentals, like the Aves and, the ones that come in with the potential, like the Tapiokas and stuff like that, that could do something quite different? I mean, what's next?
Well, that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? But it's not going to be where everyone's looking, because that game's up.
But that's a good point, though, Grant. Like, just park
Look,
that to the side. That's a fucking good point. It's like, well, it's going to be somewhere where people aren't looking. So how do you go about it from a research perspective? So, like, do you go and look at what Bitcoin DeFi looks like and find out what the guys are doing there? Like,
this was a comment on a Pump.Fun chat today that hadn't reached Radium yet. Like, this is the state of what's happening. Based will send to Radium at least 150k. This is the expectations of people now. 150k market cap. So that's the state of the trenches. They announced a pretty cool update this week where they want to get people actively participating in chats over there. So
I saw that. Yeah.
they can. So it's funny because me and 563 did an episode on social probably 4 or 5 months ago. So like top social apps to look out for, blah blah blah, and like we put in Pump.Fun as a joke, and it seems to have. We had no idea that was going to be the route that they took, but if anything, these guys, Phantom and maybe Jupiter, have absolutely killed this cycle, haven't they? So there's no meta in no socials. Yeah, I've seen that. It seems to have died though, doesn't it? It's like rap dog or something, where they didn't have a Telegram or socials; they just chatted on. I want to pull back to that question on Sui following the Grayscale Sui Tau trust announcement. I've seen this game before. Like I've seen the whole DeFi trust from Grayscale, where they include like Link and even obscure shit like Live Peer and not really. I'm not really that like blown away by it, to be honest. Like Grayscale just, yeah, they haven't exactly covered themselves in glory over the past 2 years. So, and so I think they're relatively small positions as well. So you don't want people like that anywhere near your stack. And if people think, oh well, trust and then ETF, there's going to be a million ETFs. So I'm not that overly bullish on it, to be honest.
I want to just kind of like go to the right side of this curve here at the moment, and just look at what I think are like fairly safe and viable bets going into kind of like the latter part of this year. I mean, obviously, you can kind of look at the fundamental stuff like the TARs and Solana. I mean, obviously Solana's been the darling. There's a lot of people that are saying, I mean, Messi was saying yesterday that he thinks Solana is going to hit a brick wall once this meme thing dies down. I don't agree with Messi. I don't often disagree with him. But I disagree with him in that there's going to be an end to this thing. I think we carry on, and I think Solana is going to carry on. Did I sell a lot of my ETH to buy Solana? Yes, I did. That is a very clear disclaimer to my statement. But I didn't do that lightly. It was exactly the rationale and the thesis is that there is a momentum here that I don't think stops at $150. I just don't see that. Is it late in the journey of Solana? I don't think so. But I think Solana, for me, 300, 350 is a reality, and I don't think it's an unrealistic reality from this point onwards. So I think there is decent upside. Do I think that Ethereum goes to 10K? I think it has the potential, but I don't know if it does it anytime soon. Not in terms of what we've seen. So I want to just quickly go, and I'll let you comment on the Sol ETH thing, Grant. Sorry, but I want to look at kind of like your big memes, the ones that have serious. This is your favorite chart. I know that you've been going on about this for months, so I'll give you a chance to chat about that as well. But like your Popcats, your Mogs, your Flokies, your Shib, I don't think is going to do that well. Pepe, I think like those are the ones that really interest me at this point in time. Like, dude, the price action on Popcat at the moment is through the fucking roof. It is, and it moves,
great,
bro. Like, it will move in such clean lines. Like, look at that. Like, you trade that on short term and swings. It's a pleasure. Like, really,
It's
one
on
of the
Hyperliquid as well.
yeah,
You can only get 5x on Hyperliquid, but not that you'd need more than that with something
yeah.
that's as high vol as this. But
Yeah, it's just an exquisite thing to trade. I mean, I know someone's been commenting, like good traders have commented about whiff. It's not surprising that the duck traded whiff on the short. It moves with clean lines. And I think,
yeah,
like, if you are wanting to trade this volatility, like, these are the things that I think you need to focus on and get stuck in on. I think there's money to be made. And yeah, just go out there and have fun. That's what I've been doing. And it's been generally quite good.
I think it
And
looks
that's been my
pretty
focus.
good.
Yeah.
Width looks good. I don't think it's going anywhere. Too much of a retarded community. Popcat just so strong, and it just paints, as you say. It's like
Yeah.
very, very clean. What else would I put in that basket? What's Mitchy at now? Potentially, but like this doesn't look as clean, like what else have we got? Other than that, there's not really much that stands out. Like I think Popcat and Width have really begun to like define themselves as like stand out, particularly how many places are listing Popcat as well. Yeah, I like it. It's just a kind of it's picture perfect when it comes to just your key levels and stuff like that, isn't it? Like look at that kind of like swing to the lows, then pop back up.
That is
perfect.
that you dude, if you had caught that on the bottom, it's like one of the best trades you'll make with size. Like it's just one of those things. And even in spot with size, you do super well on that thing, and especially like clear bottom on that. So I think that's like a good strategy for me anyways, like just focusing on those, like go where the liquidity is. That's where you want to play. You don't want to be
you
like,
want an exit though as well. Like
yes,
it's all well and good, like a lot of people flexing like phantom wallet P&Ls and like being up a couple of $100,000 on 20 million tokens off something that comes off pumped up fun. It's like try going for the exit though. I don't care how much volume or how much liquidity is stuck in that thing. Like what's actually made it to the point of someone being able to get out, like with maybe Popcat,
yeah,
maybe another 3 or 4 others. It's like paper gains getting posted on Twitter. One, if you're posting gains on Twitter, you look like a tit, and you should probably just sell everything that you've got. But then you physically can't. One, because you're such a large hold that people will be tracking your wallet and they start seeing you offload even through a DCA, they're going to front run it. 2, you can't just fucking nuke the chart because there's not going to be enough liquidity there, and you're going to end up with 10% of what you think you had. So like, it's all well and good. These people are going to realize like the hardware, like everyone else had to first and second time round. So don't concern yourself with people like that. And it's very easy to kind of see huge portfolio swings when you have landed one of those coins. But you can't count it. Like you've got to get in the habit of not counting it until like it's out, particularly when it's low liquidity and for a fine fact you shouldn't be getting 100x's every other week.
So there's one for you. Check Keith, Keith, however you say that. I haven't seen this
Is this
one.
the invisible
so
cat?
This the invisible cat. Is that what it is? That's actually quite a... Oh my goodness. Here I am talking about like blue chip memes, if there is such a thing, and you guys are giving us 3.7 mil fucking charts. Shame on you, Luke.
Future blue chip. If anyone wants this watch list, by the way, if you jump in Discord, I'll post it in there. I'll do that after
Yeah,
this.
dude.
It's free.
So
I've
one
got
of
some
the others, just one of the others quickly. Last one, Floki. Like, just go and look at the Floki chart. I haven't actually looked at the chart in a while, but I have a feeling that this thing, at some point in time, because it always does this, it goes quiet for like a long period of time, and then it starts doing shit. And now you tell me, there isn't like a ridiculous amount of upside in that thing.
Yeah,
like,
but then,
surely
but
that
is it also reflective of how well ETH is doing, sentiment around ETH? Like
yes,
Pepe hasn't
absolutely.
necessarily.
Yes. You're right.
Or has it? Am I talking shit?
No. Pepe has had quite a good run, but it's very similar to ETH. Pepe always has been an ETH beta. It's just the way it is.
Well, yeah. Well, I think like if Retardio cuts through, that probably just continues and continues and continues. But we'll have to see. It's been pulling back a little bit. I thought the Church of the Smoking Chicken Fish probably had legs, but I feel like that's died off a little bit now as well.
Well, we had Raul Powell posting about it. I don't think we've ever had anything like that before. So yeah, but this is the interesting thing about these kind of like 50 to 100 mil, 50 to 150 mil memes, is that they come and they go with their momentum. It's not like a continuous thing, they don't do like a Pepe did. It's interesting, like they stop and they start and they stop and they start, and that's why you get this kind of like these kind of charts.
It's almost
it's so weird.
It's almost as if like there's a group who own a large percentage of the supply that get told when they're allowed to sell and when they're not.
I wouldn't be
Funny
surprised.
That,
yeah.
It's funny how they just die off and then come back to life when people stop selling.
Luke seems to think that Raul Powell is the reason why the chicken fish is stopped doing
very true.
Well, is because he shilled it.
Yeah, that's like when something gets attached and tethered to someone, it becomes a meme coin of them. So what we tried to do as an industry a couple of weeks back is turn Bitcoin into Trump coin. And then Kamala started kind of gaining on Trump, and then we were like, oh no, fuck that, let's decouple that one. So it's like Sam Altman's like meme coin is WorldCoin. SBF's meme coin was Solana, and then that decoupled. Like it's best if they're just free flowing.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing for me, like around ETH, just coming back to that, because I mean it is kind of like the main part of our stream today, is just going back to, what role does ETH have to play within the context of, first of all, the ETF. I mean, I saw a lot of people talking about BlackRock and ETH, and that's obviously a big part of this whole thing, and then it's like viable protocols that have been around for a very long time. So I think long term, I don't believe ETH is a blockbuster of videos. I think ETH has got a tremendous amount of potential around fundamentals, which I think is a positive thing. So I'm not
buying Arbitrum here. Just stop buying it.
No, there's no ways anyone's buying Arbitrum. Surely.
Do you realize how many tokens are left to still come onto the market? What's up? Everyone's obsession with long in the bottom of BTC, by the way. Like,
I don't know.
Surely there's other assets that you can get into and out of with size, particularly if you're using perps and low leverage, that you don't need to enter with such huge size. You need to per trade ETH BTC. Like, fuck me.
So I'm going to ask the same question around something that we are more familiar with in the current environment. Not that we aren't familiar with ETH BTC, but why do people trade Doge? It's the same thing. It's exactly the same. Why would you trade something that has
like
literally an unlimited... Dude, it's got an unlimited supply. The guys are mining a gazillion coins every minute. Why would you trade that thing?
I don't know. It's funny. You know what it is? It's like it's old for me. It's like old session traders who feel as if they have muscle memory and they are at one with a chart and how that chart conducts itself. And you know, I honestly
I
like
think
I'd be doom and gloom
it
about the
barely
state of the
trades.
industry if I was sat around trading Doge and Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. I'd definitely be. If I ever do that,
Oh,
just
we've
fucking
got probably one
put
of
a
the most
gun to my
insight.
head and fire it.
We've probably got one of the most insightful, grumpy, and painful traders out there, namely Don Alt, who trades those, and he probably does very well. But I think
He
he's
is
out
a
of touch.
fucking incredible like swing
Yeah.
trader, but commenting on uh, the advancements of the industry, I was just like, no, come on, let's not.
So
I
what's
don't know.
so I mean let's talk about kind of like strategies. I mean, have you changed your strategy like over the last like couple of months in terms of the way that you've been approaching the markets, or has it been more of the same? Have you found like something that works for you in the space? Because I've had quite a kind of like big change up in terms of my approach, but I'm curious to hear what your approach has been and whether you've changed it.
I mean, initially, well, fuck me, a long time ago. It feels like a lifetime ago now. Was just to stack as much Sol as possible, and then use Sol ecosystem players to rotate into and out of to stack more Sol, and then that's been successful. And no, not really. Like that's the kind of end goal, and that's like what I go into everything thinking of. Like, am I going to get more Sol out of this, or am I going to lose Sol? We were laughing the other day saying we're going to look back in a couple of years and just think, what the fuck were we doing? Just throwing whole Solana at like meme coins left, right, and center, and tens and hundreds of Solana and shit like that. And then one day you'll turn around, and it'll be like a couple of $1,000s, and you'll be fucking wanting to kill yourself. But yeah, I'm just trying to stack as much of it as possible, really, and doing so by primarily memes, primarily stuff that's got like high beta to it, and then just trying to keep my eye on what's happening in the ecosystem, see where the trends are going. And I think there is a big undercurrent of Solana DeFi happening or about to come. It might be a month, it might be 2 months, it might be 3 months, but it's definitely on the horizon. I don't know what did you start off on, and why is it changed
Yeah, I mean, for me,
for
it's
you?
I think there are the fundamentals around accumulation, and it was always for me, it was all around ETH. I mean, in a small way, Bitcoin, but it was primarily around ETH, and obviously the narrative that's always been there, in terms of this alternative to money, and the ability to transact, lend and borrow, and the scope that it has, and I think it's just going to end up growing, but then also being a little bit kind of like disillusioned with um the fact that it hasn't had the momentum. So I've been a victim of kind of like price go up is like it's always got to be like a prerequisite, and realizing that maybe that's not a part of the whole thing. So
Mm.
I think for me, primarily right now, it's to accumulate as much fiat as I possibly can, and then to be able to make the decisions that I need to make by accumulating what I think is worthwhile. So I think obviously Solana really important, but the strategy is aggressive profit taking in whatever trade that there might be. So obviously looking at much shorter term trades. I
Yeah,
don't enjoy the
what do you
pain.
think average trade duration is currently?
Several days. So like leverage trading. So my strategy's changed. I mean, I obviously have spot bags, but the main focus is leverage trading, like low leverage, fairly big size for me, and shorter term. So maybe 6 hours through to maybe max 72 hours. And finding those spots, like really getting in on like what moves are happening, anticipating those moves, opening positions, closing a lot, obviously, and managing the risk. But then, and then when there is a big move, like taking profit and not having these ideas of, longer term trades. You know, like before it would be, okay, well, I'll open this trade and I'll leave it and I'll let it run for like a week or 2 weeks, and knowing that it would just keep going up. Whereas that's not what's happening right now. Price action is very different. It's a lot more challenging, and it requires a lot more attention and a lot more discipline. Like if you thought you had discipline, you don't know anything, bro. When you have big swings and you kind of questioning reality and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's really about bankroll management and aggressive profit taking, and then making sure that my stack is continuously growing and compounding. Like Trader Tim, good friend of ours, great trader. Go and follow him on YouTube. Like he is such a simple trader. Like he doesn't complicate shit. It's like draw a line. Is there a point of support resistance?
His ETH breakdown trade yesterday. It was just like textbook.
Dude, the dude is so on it. Like it's just he just knows what he's doing, and it's so simple. It's kind of like, do you see it or don't you? If you don't see it, you don't get involved. It's really that simple. And if it takes days, then you don't do anything for days, and that's just the way it is. So for me, it's short-term accumulation, and then like going into like for me, obviously, like the recent last 3 months been Sol accumulation as well as ETH, and then Bitcoin.
It's a move. Just wanted to bring this up before we close because we're on a meeting. But how long have we been speaking about this?
You spoke about it when it was way down. Way down. You said it's coming and it's happened, and I don't think it's stopping anytime soon. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but it just really, based on what we've seen this week, Solana is proper powerhouse at the moment.
I wonder where it stops. Like, I wonder what the ratio is for it to stop.
Someone made a comment in chat that he's seeing a little bit of a bed of coming up. Sol ETH makes me uneasy. Bear divs for volume and RSI on the daily. What's the RSI at? Let me look here. You want to just
ETH drastically oversold, isn't it? Really relative.
Yeah.
The thing is with this, like, what's happening here goes beyond like indicators for me. And I think stuff like that can talk you out of a lot of. It can create a lot of noise without factoring in everything else that's happening around it. So we'll just have to see. Does it get to 0.1? Does it go beyond? I don't know, but I do believe that you're definitely going to get a pullback though, because I think ETH's just, despite the sentiment, I still think there's good EDF flows and stuff like that coming in, and you know, we've been saying this for like what feels like 10 years now, but it's due its day.
It is due. But, definitely is. It is due. I mean, just coming back to the fundamentals around Bitcoin, just to close out. There's obviously been kind of like this traditional thing around Bitcoin that it always goes and retests the lows. It'll be interesting to see whether it does go down to 40, 49 and a half, 48, whatever the case might be. But right
imagine
now,
this week finishes both. Imagine that's a green close at the end of the week. That will be.
Imagine that would be sick,
the most hilarious candle ever. Someone says they want to go full time in this industry. You just show them that weekly candle, and
I mean, imagine it goes all the way up to like 65K or something like that, dude.
58,129. That is absolutely hilarious.
So, and the price action at the moment is like super sketch, dude. Like right when we were on the stream, it like did like this epic pump to just like, where did it go? It went to like 58 and a half. And then it like pulled right back now. Like it's the weirdest shit, dude. Like on the shorter time frame stuff, like yeah, the price action is whack.
It's because it is.
I wouldn't be surprised on the weekly if we close.
It's the open, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
what do you call that candle? What's the name for that candle?
It's like a dragonfly,
Excalibur,
Doji, or some shit like that. I don't know. Toffee hammer. I don't know. We'll just start making them up.
I think it looks like an Excalibur in the rock, dude.
I think we're like 3 subs away on the newsletter from 12,000. So, and there's a link below if anyone's not subbed. It's 5 days a week. It's more nonsense like this, but in newsletter form, direct into your inbox. So you can have that. Or if you want to, again, I said in the middle of the stream, I'll send that watch list into Discord if anyone wants to jump in and get it. And you're obviously more than welcome to stay and chat with the other 5,000 complete degenerates that are in there.
DJ. Oh.
Yeah, other than that, please give us a like, subscribe. We're going to have to jump off. Got a meeting. And despite being absolutely exhausted, that was a good one.
Yeah, take it easy, guys. Thanks for your time, Grant. See you in the trenches, boys and girls. Take it easy.
Yeah.